All right, everyone, welcome back into another fantasy golf video. We are going to be breaking down my favorite picks for the U.S. Open, not only to win, but we're also going to get into some three-ball picks, some head-to-head picks, some prize picks and underdog plus EV bets that we are currently getting as well. But I actually want to start this video out with calling out a thread that's currently going a little bit viral in the fantasy golf community because there are some interesting things to talk about. Now, I'm going to take a different approach. A lot of people are kind of dogging on the thread that happened. I'm going to applaud it slightly, and let's just go ahead and start there. I think it's interesting to talk about. All right, so the thread in question is this one from Sal. Sal is someone that has really done a good job of being able to create viral moments and being very good at targeting the algorithm, so he continues to build off of that algorithm. So I'm not going to dog him for that. That's what this thread is doing here, and some people are kind of dogging on him for kind of a portion of this thread, and we'll touch on that in just a second, but I mostly applaud him, okay? And this is coming from someone that is a content creator but also is a betting expert as well, for fantasy golf, for PrizePicks and Underdog. I feel confident calling myself that. The issue that I have is all my data has been extremely curated to the point where when I try to put out content, sometimes it's more, here are the best picks because I've done the work already with the data to call out specifically who the top picks are. Like outright wise, for a good example, 10 out of the past 12 winners have been considered these good outright bets. And so for this week, if we're just click on the good outright bets, we could kind of confidently say that a winner is going to come from this range. Now, how I've been able to formulate that is just looking at past year's data of typical winners on the PGA Tour, and then just filter that out for golfers that are in the field for that week's tournament. Now, it's a little bit different this week because we got some live golfers in the fields. Like Bryson would probably be someone I want to bet on. But the point, and I'll get back into the thread as well. The point is, for me, it's not good content to be like, these guys are good outright bets because I've already done the work to tell you guys that the data that we're doing, these are good outright bets. You need to have reasons as to why. You need to give people something to click and watch on that will promote the algorithm, right? And I don't know, that's just something I personally struggle with. In content creation, there's actually a typical rule. It's do 70% of the research and work and get the content out. Because if you do 100%, you're not going to get out the content and people are not going to click on it. You're not going to get it out in a timely manner. And it's just not as rewarding. Okay, so that's something that does work. That works really well as well. But again, that's something I personally struggle with. So I applaud really when people are able to get content out like this. Okay. And it works for him. If you follow his betting account, he has 7K people following him for this. Now, once we get into the golf picks, it does, if you are familiar with fantasy golf, you get maybe why people in the fantasy golf community are dogging on him. I try really not to do that these days. Maybe when I was a little bit younger, I probably would have done that. I don't know. It just, I assume the best of people. But let's just talk about the bets. I think it's interesting to call it the bets here as well. So Jordan Spieth to make the cut, minus 160 is interesting here. Okay. And he's made 9 of his last 13 U.S. Open cuts. Not a bad thing. Okay. And this course favors distance, which is important because Spieth's driver has looked sharp lately. And the driver has helped him to finish top 10 at the Memorial in his last start. Okay. That's not as detailed as I would have thought, to be honest with you. That for me, that kind of falls under the category of fluff for kind of calling out why you would want to be on anyone. Anyways, let's just talk about the details there. Would I want to bet on Jordan Spieth minus 160? I don't know. It's not a bad pick. But at minus 160, I don't think I would take those odds. I think you can actually find better golf plays for this week that are actually at closer to minus 110, minus 115 betting odds to make the cut. Now, he does claim that driving distance is going to be a key stat this week, which is mostly true. That's more on the accurate side. So especially in the sense of when we look at key stats of whether it's going to be driving accuracy or driving distance, that's kind of how you break it down. Sometimes it ends up being both. But if you're just to say yes or no, driving accuracy or driving distance, it does skew more towards driving distance. Why? Because we know it's a longer track, and with thicker rough, longer tracks tend to lead to golf or N-type fairways for what that's worth. Longer tracks tend to favor bombers. Now, the only reason why bombers might not be successful this week is depending on the landing range and the thickness of the rough in specific ranges, because golfers on average, they're all going to hit around the same amount of fairways on average, right? Obviously, more accurate drivers are going to hit the fairway a little bit more, but all in all, chasing distance is good. But to be more accurate, we know how the US Open plays. It's going to be total driving. It's going to be ball striking. Those are the top 2 stats that we should be looking at. But overall, I mean, like, who cares? That's fine. That's fine. Anyone can have their opinions on what they consider good bets. I'm fine with that one. Patrick Cantlay to top 20 at plus 116. He finished top 20 at this event 4 years in a row. Okay, so that's good. This is good. At this event 4 years in a row. When we get to another pick, that's where he kind of got into trouble. And again, to me, we'll get into that in just a second. Including a 3rd place finish here last year. And more importantly, he's one of the best tee to green players on the planet, which is crucial at Oakmont. Yes, but this is a key stat every single week for every single event, no matter what in golf. That's always a key stat. Okay, that's like saying he's one of the best in strokes gained total as well. Like, whatever. Okay, Joaquin Niemann, top 10 finish at plus 160. He's one of the best iron players in the world. More importantly for this course, Niemann ranks 2nd in greens in regulation, which this course demands, which is not really true. I mean, he's a live golfer, so he's only played in like 2 PGA Tour events, which really wouldn't meet the threshold for that. And also, I mean, why are we looking at greens in regulation specifically? Again, like, it's not bad. It's not like, it's never a bad thing. Look at ball striking. Could look at stroke gain approach as well. But that's fine. That feels like we're trying to find reasons to be on a bet that we like instead, which overall, don't hate that bet. Now, if we were to look at his like specialist rating, which kind of looks at all the unique characteristics for this week's tournament, like thickness of rough, length of course, he actually kind of struggles a little bit. I don't want to dog the bet. I don't hate it. Now, this is the one that everyone is kind of laughing at in the fantasy golf community. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt as well here, okay? Top 5 finish, Sky Scheffler, minus 140. I'm not picking him to win because it's a loaded field and the odds are just plus 275. Which, yeah, that's the conundrum everyone has every week, okay? But top 5, I'm in. Here's why. He has won 3 out of his last 4 events and has finished top 5 at Oakmont in 2 out of his last 3 years. Okay, so just the simple fact that he earlier in the post, right, referred to Patrick Cantlay doing well at this event, meaning the US Open, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that this is a typo. Okay, this is something anyone can make. And if you didn't catch it in the proper time, you can't change it, right? He's trying to say that Sky Scheffler has finished top 5 at the US Open in 2 out of the last 3 years, which is true. Now, last year he finished 41st, in his last US Open start, but who cares, right? Again, calling out greens and regulation gain now. So again, just could go strokes gain there. And then the winner. And so like, I'm actually fine with the bets he's kind of getting to. I wouldn't like argue anyone here. But Bryson to win. Best driving distance in the world. And Oakmont rewards elite driving. We haven't seen Oakmont, in a while. It's not regularly played on the PGA Tour. But yeah, again, we can assume that total driving is going to be the key stat that we want to look at. He's accurate enough, playing well, and built for this setup. I get why people are dogging on the post. I do. But I also get the content side of it. I don't want to dog on anyone for putting out that content. It's just, a lot of the critiques are like, oh, people, it's a big event for golf, so people are coming in. I've done this before with tennis. It's something that happens. You're excited for a big event that's going on. You as a content creator want to get content out. And it's not like he's overly cocky or anything. He's just putting out information there. But I get both sides of it for sure. It is kind of funny. I did want to touch on it. Just it kind of brings a good call out for kind of everything fantasy golf related in terms of giving content and kind of being a fantasy golf expert and a lot of people being able to catch certain things in content that might not be good content. So to me, it's fun. Like another thing that like for me personally, I see it's like there's some accounts. And I've been doing this a little bit as well, just because it is content that people enjoy. I've touched on this a few times. It's that people put out misleading content. It's like, oh, this person ranks out whatever, or here's a list of golfers that rank out really well in this yardage range, that this yardage range is not going to be predictable in terms of who wins the event. But a lot of shots land up in this range. And so I want to give this stat out, even though it's not going to benefit you. Again, that's fun content. I get why people put that out. I'm not going to dog anyone for putting that out. But then the other side of it is I kind of wish I could put out that content mentally where you could be misleading people, but you have the caveat of you're just putting that type of content out for fun. And again, that happens a lot as well. So it's kind of balancing act. Like if people like the content, who cares, right? At the end of the day, people will know eventually the purpose of the content. I think, generally speaking. Like, it's not always the content that gets the most likes that's good content. I think people kind of know actually that sometimes a lot of the content, especially in the fantasy golf world, that gets likes is a lot of negative related content, which again, a lot of people are bashing on that content. So that's kind of why. But again, it's fun. It's fun. That's why I'm just trying to have some fun there, guys. I don't put out a lot of fluff myself, which I've kind of talked about why in this video. And that's probably something I need to do more. So I wanted to touch on that. But let's go ahead now and get into the top picks and bets. Definitely worth your guys' time here, because for PrizePicks and Underdog, we are getting some pretty good spots right now. All right, so as I am recording this video, we are getting only holes played prop bets for PrizePicks, and I want to start there because these are prop bets where we are getting direct lines from all the sports books, and for the most part, these sports books are pretty good at establishing these lines correctly. You know, with birdie or better prop bets, with bogey avoidance prop bets, fairways hit, greens and regulations, they're the percentages that sportsbooks attach to those, to me, seem more based off of like popularity of the bet rather than the accuracy of it, especially in this, like compared to the holes played prop bets. Like, to me, these are much more in line with like receptions prop bets in football, where easily projectable shots on goal in hockey, K strikeouts for a pitcher in baseball, points in basketball. Like, it's just much more projectable, especially when you add in like 2 rounds. So for what it's worth as well, like me personally, I do not get access to the holes played or made cut prop bets on PrizePicks. It's certainly strange. So you might be in a state where they don't have those prop bets, but I actually do have access to these prop bets on Underdog, which is strange. But let's start here. So we have Ming will lead to be over 0.5 holes played, so to make the cut on PrizePicks. So if you guys have access to that, that's a good bet. Matt Fitzpatrick to make the cut, 55%. Cameron Young, Carlos Ortiz also to make the cut. And we also have Stefan Jaeger to miss the cut, which is interesting, at about 54% likelihood. Now, I do think it's worth calling out how we are coming up with those percent likelihoods. Okay, so if you are just looking at the made cut lines that we have coming in, that's not exactly accurate. We actually have to have the miscut lines coming in as well, because the made cut lines have juice associated with them. So do the miscut lines as well. So when you combine the 2 odds of a made cut and a miscut prop bet, it's not going to equal like 100. So you have to do another calculation, which takes out the juice. And so that is what those lines are currently doing. Okay, so you have to take that next step, and that's where we're getting plus EV bets and directly plus EV bets. And so getting back into those bets, if you are someone that has access to these bets on PrizePicks, by all means target them. But for the most part, these are all bets that are available on Underdog as well. The only bet that I wouldn't recommend right now is probably the Fitzpatrick one on Underdog, because they changed the payout to 0.91x. Okay, so not a full payout there. You could still do it. It's fine. But obviously you'd be better off attacking that on PrizePicks. Okay, so I did want to call that because that is clearly the best bet that those are the best bets that we're getting on PrizePicks. Probably the best bets that we'll get all week. And if you guys recall from the PGA Championship, I think we ended up going like 5 for 6 in terms of the made cut prop bets that we were getting. It was very solid there. And so hopefully we can do that there as well. Now, just to break it down a bit further, if we were just look at kind of the 9 to 5 data, so the 9 to 5 data has its own kind of made cut odds as well in terms of like the likelihood that I'm giving them to make the cut. And so what we're looking at is, I don't know if we would necessarily want to get to Carlos Ortiz though. Okay. He doesn't rank out all too well in the 9 to 5 miles. So we actually probably, I don't think we would want to bet him to make the cut. If you want to bet on Jaeger to miss the cut as well, you can. He ranks out as about 62. So T60 and ties are going to make the cut. And so if you want to bet on that, you could. But really, the best bets I think we could call out are going to be Matt Fitzpatrick, Ming-Woo Lee, and also Cameron Young. Their game should have set up decently well. They should have a decent chance of making the cut. Ming-Woo Lee, a little bit hit or miss. His game has fallen off a little bit recently. Typically does step up though in these bigger events, but that's also why we're getting him at these. That's why we're getting all these golfers at these lines. Fitzpatrick has made 3 straight cuts. Cameron Young has made 5 straight cuts. I think we're fine with those. So now let's switch and get into some Underdog prop bets. I am filtering out the holes played prop bets right now because we already touched on those with the PrizePicks ones. But looking at what we have for Underdog, fairways hit for Bryson is an interesting one, okay? Because it does come down to the strategy for this week, right? Like that's part of it for sure. Does he tend to go more 3-wood in some spots, or is he just trying to bomb and gouge the course? But we won't know that. Like we might, but like I don't know if we have that concrete. I think I'm fine getting to that one. Again, I'd rather do the holes played prop bets, but I'm fine with that. Sub Straka to make 2.5 birdies or better. We can. If we use the data from the U.S. Open that took place here, almost 10 years ago. The average birdies made was about 2.5, 2.4 there. Okay, and so it's Sepp Straka, one of the better staffits in the field. You would expect him to be at that average at least, right? And it is I don't know if I necessarily need to go in on the old course data that we have too much, because technology has advanced so much over the past 10 years. Like, hit a driver or even a golf ball from 10 years ago, you're losing probably 10 yards off the driver at least, and probably 5 off the golf ball. That stuff adds up, right? And so I don't know. I know they're growing out the rough thicker. It seems like the greens are going to be a little bit faster as well, but that's the best data that we have coming in. And it's accurate with how the U.S. Open has played, right, in the past. And I think we're fine getting into those stats still. But don't be surprised if it does play maybe slightly easier. And so, yes, my long way of saying I don't mind Sepp Straka over 2.5 birdies or better. And we also have Viktor Hovland to get under 5.5 bogeys or worse. This is interesting as well. We look at the average birdies made at this tournament, when it was last played here, about 5.2. And so I could kind of see why it'd be favoring the under. He does average about 3, which the projection data that goes into that is based off of that and based off of the current lines that are out there. This is a little bit different than the holes played. This is based off the 9 to 5 data mostly. And so it is telling us to bet the under. Viktor Hovland is someone that does seem like he has turned the corner as well with his game, where he was struggling a lot early on. I think I'd be fine getting to all 3 of those prop bets. I would have no problem with them. If you want to pair them up with those whole play prop bets as well, by all means, go for it. So let's go ahead and give you guys an underdog bet of the day. But first, before we do that, if you guys have never signed up for underdog before and want to do so, make sure to use the promo code 925 spelled out. It's just a simple and easy way to help out the channel. It'll also help you guys out as well. Give you guys a 50% match on your deposit up to $2,000. I believe that's still the promo that's going on. But yes, that does help the channel a decent amount. And so let's go ahead and get in the bet of the day here for kind of round 1 and for the tournament for props purposes. So I did toss in Jaeger into this bet to make it a 5 slip bet. That's probably my least favorite of the bets that we have here. Still a good PrizePicks underdog bet, as is Ming Woo Lee and Cameron Young to make the cut as well. These are both good PrizePicks bets, as I called out. And then we're just going with the 3 bets that I just mentioned there as well. This is a 6 slip bet. And the interesting thing about this 6 slip bet specifically is that's actually paying out more. So the thing with PGA prop betting is that sometimes, due to how courses are set up, we can just kind of stack how the course is going to play. Weather influences that as well. And so PrizePicks or an underdog will significantly decrease the payout when bets correlate. And so I think because we're doing a lower, I actually don't really know why it's increasing the payout. It's kind of strange that it is. It should be a standard payout, actually. Like, if we're doing higher birdie or bogeys or worse for Viktor Hovland, it would make sense. So good for us, right? Good for us there. But let's go ahead now and talk about kind of my favorite outright bets now for the U.S. Open. So yes, let's go ahead and get into those golfers that are listed as good outright bets. So yes, I mentioned 10 out of the last 12 winners on the PGA Tour have been good outright bets. If you just bet on them, I think it's like 42 units of profit on the season. It would be like 70 had Sam Burns won last week, where he lost in the playoff. A little bit brutal. Now, 13 of the past winners, and I've only went back 13 events. I kind of got the conclusion I needed to there. And at the start of the season, we do know it's a little bit more high variance. But all of the winners have been listed as an outright bet, possible outright bet, or long shot bet. Basically, it's like good outright bets are golfers that meet 80% of the threshold of players that went on the PGA Tour over the past several seasons. Possible outright bets is 70, and then long shot bets only are 60%. I probably need to change the verbiage of that. But anyways, you get the point. Now, again, to call out, live golfers are not in this. So if you like Jon Rahm, if you like Joaquin Niemann, I'm betting on Bryson. I do agree with that call. They're not going to be popping up in here. But we do have some players that are kind of notorious for not winning events that are popping up in here, which is a little bit annoying. And if you just want to not bet on these 3 golfers right here, I don't think I would blame you there, honestly. But the interesting thing about Shane Lowry is when the going gets tough, Shane Lowry gets going. And if you look at who he's paired up with to start round 1 and round 2, or for round 1 and round 2, Justin Rose and Rory McIlroy. So his partner from the Zero Classic, Rory, who they won that tournament with, vibes should be good. Should be good. Now, that's assuming they're playing well. Rory could honestly ruin the vibes. Rory's been playing like ass, and if he continues to play terrible, he could ruin the vibes for someone like Shane Lowry. So, like, if we're betting on Shane Lowry, we kind of need Rory to play well, I think. I think that could rub off on Shane Lowry, because if he shoots and finishes 148 again, like he finished last week, yeah, that probably won't be good for Lowry. But at 50 to 1, I don't mind him. Again, when the course starts playing more difficult, Shane Lowry tends to be the player that benefits the most from that. Look at hard scoring tracks. He ranks out 22nd in the field. He does really well on bunker aligned courses as well, 6th in the field there. Through and through, he's a good specialist. He's been someone that really, if you've been following him, does seem like he's due for a victory, although whenever he gets into contention, he does choke. Now, the U.S. Open has been an interesting event that we've been able to nail outright winners. It's probably one of the most predictable tournaments each year. So 5 out of the past 6 winners we've been on for the U.S. Open. Wyndham Clark was a winner that we were on. We were on Ricky Fowler that week as well. That was kind of easy. I mean, I don't want to say easy, but like Wyndham Clark was more of a bet that just odds-wise was something that we should be clicking on because of how good of a play he was on paper. Whereas that's kind of Shane Lowry is worth calling out. But then Matt Fitzpatrick was an easy click when he won. John Rahm when he won was pretty easy. Bryson last year was pretty easy. Like we kind of get a sense of who to bet on. And that's, again, U.S. Opens, although they're different courses, they tend to play the same. It's toll driving, it's ball striking, it's bogey avoidance, and and typically 200 plus because they're typically longer tracks. So I could buy into betting on Shane Lowry. And the only way I see Tommy Fleetwood winning is if he ends up kind of backing into it. It would have to be kind of like last year for Bryson, where yes, Bryson won it, but we also know that Rory kind of lost it as well. It'd have to be a situation like that where Fleetwood would have to end his tournament with the lead. I don't think he would be someone that would play with the lead and win. He's not going to go Xander at the PGA Championship. Like that's not going to happen. But I could see him kind of falling into a win. I wish we were getting better odds than him, 40 to 1. He does rank out extremely well. I actually think he's a better kind of top 10, potentially top 20 bet. You can get him at 3 to 1 on most sites. That'd be the route I'd rather go with him here, as he's being called out as a good bet. And then Keegan, I don't really need to go crazy with Keegan as well. I do think the length is something that could eat him up a bit here. I think it's something that will prevent him from winning. You could bet him to make the cut. We are getting some, okay odds on him to make the cut. I think that'd be a better route that I would like to go there. And then from there, obviously, Sky Scheffler, the class of the field. It really just depends. This is a question each and every tournament. How many outright bets are you placing? Are you placing less than 5? How many bets on average do you place per week? How many units do you place per week? Can you skew that towards Scotty in some ways? That's really up to you guys and your betting style. I don't control that. What I do is I give you guys out the best picks and let you guys deal with kind of what your strategy is. I do think we should be betting on him at 3 to 1 though. So it just depends on how many golfers you're going to be on from there. He's a class of the field that makes sense. And we got Kyle Morikawa and Patrick Cantlay. I don't know if I necessarily love these golfers either. Kyle Morikawa has been very spotty with his form. It has been kind of shitty, honestly. He's a great specialist though, 5th in the field, good staff fit as well. He does play well in this tournament, so it wouldn't be shocking to see him play well, okay, and do well, maybe be in contention. It did seem like he was kind of due for that and then fell off. Same thing with Patrick Cantlay, where everything seemed to be trending for him to finally win again, and it fell off. Both of them are good specialists. They're all pretty good options, but I'm not saying I disagree with the data because, again, it's been so right. My biggest problem this year has not been just like going on this board and just click on it when I do my own outright bets, right? There's the 9 to 5 data, then there's Eric Paulson's bets. My bets have not been as good as the data. And so I probably should just blindly trust this at this point. And so I might just be going Shane Lowry, Tommy Fleetwood, and Sky Scheffler from this range. But then let's zoom out a little bit. Let's look at possible outright bets. Do you want to get to Xander? You could potentially get to him. I do think Seb Straka is interesting. He's such a phenomenal staff fit. His form isn't the best, but he has won recently, and he finished 3rd at the Memorial Tournament. Has very much struggled, though, at the PG or at the U.S. Open. So that worries me. 56th last year, 80th the year before that. That's a concern to me. And I wish we were getting better odds for him as well. Only about 50 to 1 on DraftKings, but you could potentially get there as well. Xander's interesting. Like I would be all in on Xander if he had simply been playing a little bit better than he has recently. And we know he's kind of still battling a little bit. If he just finds it, he's a little bit off right now in his game. If he just finds it, if it clicks, and it does seem like it's about to click, he could have a somewhat more random win. And that is what we'd be betting on is for him to find it and have it click. I want to when we saw the top 10 finish at the Masters, even though it didn't seem like he had his full game going either, that was good enough for me to really trust him for the next few weeks. And then he gave 18th at the RBC, Truist, got 11th there. I was pretty in on him at the PGA Championship because of that. And then you kind of see him fall off a little bit there as well and didn't play out too well at the Memorial, although didn't play poorly. It wouldn't be surprising to see him win. I don't know if I necessarily want to get on it there. But for him at 22 to 1, it does become interesting. Not betting on JT. He struggles at the US Open. I don't love that. Russell Henley is typically someone that's told driving and ball striking the ball extremely well. He hasn't been doing that necessarily this year. I think that's why he's had success at this tournament in the past, but I don't need to go crazy with that. And then Rory, he's just been struggling mentally. As I'm recording this video, it's on Tuesday. He was at the tournament and gained a practice round in as the first player on the course to do that. He was the earliest golfer on the course. So I think that's interesting and noteworthy to call out. And so really in this range as possible outright bets, I don't really like any of them. Okay, so again, I'm making my same mistakes over again. Something that I shouldn't do. But then we get into kind of the more long shot bets only, and I'm kind of okay with that. So I don't know if I necessarily get to Corey Connors. I don't know if I necessarily see him winning, but I do think he's someone that makes sense for like a top 40 bet. If you can get a made cut bet on him, like this is, you compare Corey Connors to like Jordan Spieth, I would much rather bet on Corey Connors. Over his past 20 starts, he's made the cut 90% of the time. He has a current made cut streak going of 13 straight made cuts. Consistently playing well, a good total driver, good ball striker, top 25 or better in all the key metrics that we look at. You could bet him to top 20 as well. Wouldn't hate that. Ben Griffin's interesting. He's been playing some of the best golf in the world. 10th in the field there. Played well at the PGA Championship, which is similar. That event tends to play the same as the US Open, just not as dramatic. Fourth best staff in the field as well. Okay, so would not be surprising at all to see him in contention. I actually like Sam Burns a decent amount. The only issue that we have with Sam Burns is the simple fact that he lost in that playoff. Where is he going to be at mentally? That's my concern. I think he'll be fine. I think when you have a major, it's easier to kind of just wipe that off and move on into the next event. And honestly, maybe sometimes situations like that happen where you miss a 5-footer. Maybe you weren't in the right mental thought processes there going over that putt. Maybe he finds himself in contention again. And maybe because of last week, that's what leads him into a victory. On paper, he's phenomenal, though. Like, you can't deny how good of a play he is on paper. 16th best stat fit in the field. And if we dial in the stats a little bit more, every single data point is basically better from how he started the season. Okay, so strokes gained total 21st on the season, 7th over his last 5. Strokes gained putting is basically the exact same. But like total driving's been solid, 12th in the field here. Birdie or better percentage about the same. Ball striking wise ranks out really well. Like 16th best stat fit, we'd love that. 4th best specialist, so that's a big thing here. So if we look at all the unique characteristics, the one thing that might concern you with like the specialist data is he kind of struggles with faster greens. 56th in the field there, but overall, all the other data points are top 20 or better in terms of specialist data. So yeah, the fact that we're getting him at 80 to 1 for a golfer that's in the 4th best form in the field, again, not including live golfers, is insane to me. And he's played well at some of those tougher events. Top 20 at the PGA, 12th at the Memorial, and 2nd at the RBC Canadian Open. And if you look at that course from last week, great tune-up course, phenomenal tune-up course. I actually think that would be, if we made a list of top 10 courses, top 5 courses at the comp course for courses that we've seen recently played on the PGA Tour, that'd be there. That'd probably be second, maybe, honestly. Like, good comp course. And so the fact that he played well there, I love that. He's gotten better in 4 straight events. And so if he gets better again, 80 to 1 for Sam Burns to me just stands out. The only issue is where he's at mentally. And then from there, we do get into like kind of more open stuff. I will say Taylor Pendrith is a very fascinating play as well. Okay, so he is someone that finished 5th at the PGA Championship. Again, that tournament tends to play similar to the US Open. Played well at the Memorial Tournament, a more challenging course as well. We see he's 13th in the field in hard scoring tracks. So we like that there. Rough length as well. This is huge, guys. Obviously, thick rough. 4th in the field. 5th in bunkers. So obviously this course has strategically placed bunkers, many bunkers as well. Plays well there. Top 10 in green speeds as well. So he plays well there as well. So with Taylor Pendrith, the question last week was, all right, it's his home course, literally lives in the area. How's he going to play? Typically speaking, with those golfers, they either step up and like win and are in contention, or they give us some lackluster starts. And I would argue that's what happened with him. But that's kind of been the theme with Taylor Pendrith this year, is he hasn't exactly shown up in times where you would expect him to. And do with that take what you will here. But the fact that we have all those specialist data points telling us that he could be someone we look at, 8th best specialist in the field, and the fact that he is the best total driver and ball striker in this field, in this event, I think that's worth a look. I do. Okay. 120 to 1 for him is interesting for sure. To bet him to top 20 at like 3 to 1, that's interesting. To bet him to make the cut as well, also a solid bet. Okay. Those are all fine ones. I like that. I think I can get there, especially if you are searching for a long shot bet, a golfer that makes sense long shot wise. Now, there are a couple golfers here that are not being listed that I do like. So let's touch on those. Obviously, Bryson there, you can get him at 7-1. He is kind of the class of the field. You do fully expect him to be in contention. The annoyance of some of the majors is they all favor the same type of golfer, right? Like length, distance, typically thicker roughs is the defense of the course. And so all the same golfers tend to pop at those courses. Bryson is no exception. You can get him at 8-1. I'm fine with that. If you want to just do Bryson and Scotty end your day, you could do that there as well. But yeah, he's someone I'm clicking on. Now, there is some other golfers I didn't mention, like Neiman. Neiman's interesting because he's not the best specialist, 52nd in the field, but that dates back to some older PGA Tour starts. Now, they're not necessarily playing difficult golfers or golf courses on live as well. So yeah, is he truly going to be setting himself up to play well at the US Open? I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily see him winning. And so I want to get into kind of my favorite long shot outright bet of the week as well. And he's not someone that's being listed. I'm a little bit surprised by that. It's Harris English. So Harris English, the reason why I like him is, one, the fact that he has already won on the PGA Tour this year. That's pretty huge. He finished second at the PGA Championship, so had those winning vibes. Okay, so typically speaking, golfers that play well at the Masters play with the PGA Championship, and I do hate the winning trends. I mentioned some of the content is kind of being oblivious to why it's dumb to post something. So we see these winning trends stuff all the time, right? For any event, but specifically for the majors, and all the winning trends posts that you see. And again, I'm jealous that people can do this. I truly am. Like, this is something I wish I could do. And it's like, well, all right, Eric, why don't you do that? It's simple stuff. I don't know. I just like, I go to post stuff like that. I'm like, this is not helpful, you know? But anyways, these winning trends where it's all like, whatever. The summary is golfers that are in great form, that are good stat fits, that have good event history or play well in majors tend to play well. It's like, tend to win. It's like, yes, you know, like it's, golfers that rank out top 10 in strokes gained tee to green, golfers that have made the cut at the past two US Opens, golfers that have had multiple top 10 finishes or won at, you know, like, it's like, no shit. Like, yes, that is fantasy. Thank you for telling us how fantasy golf works. I appreciate that. X post that got, for some reason, 300 likes on it. I thank you for that insightful stuff. Now I know exactly what to do with that information. Like, you know, you get what I mean. It's like, come on now. All right. Cheap clicks is what we can call that. But again, I'm not hating. I'm applauding them. Good for them. But yes, let's go ahead and get back into Harris English. And so everything I just hated on there, I'm gonna use for Harris English, right? That's how this works. So yes, won recently. So you like that. Played well at the past two majors, 12th at the Masters, second at the PGA Championship, played well at the Memorial Tournament. Again, if we're just looking at similar events, some events that we want to be looking at, he did well at those. Okay. US Open, he's played well as well in the past. 41st last year. Don't love that from him, but 8th. So you'd like that there. And again, played well at the PGA, played well at the Masters. So very good stuff there. Specialist data could be better. Wish that was better. He is someone that when you think of Harris English, you think of him being a very good total driver and ball striker, right? Okay. Not as good this year, but still top 15 in both of those. The biggest concern that I have is this 200 plus stat that I have added in there instead. 72nd in the field. So with the rough length, and let's see how he ranks out rough wise, 29th in the field, so not terrible. But with the rough length and with him not being the best long iron player, that could be the reason as to why. But I mean, who cares? Because we're getting him at 100-1. Now, what's interesting is that you look at some of the Euro books, Betway has him at 50-1. And that's why I like including those in there. I think I have like 5% of the fantasy. My site members are like Euro. So like 10 people, you know, doesn't really matter, but hey, they can benefit from that. That's fine. But yeah, 100-1. I think I'm fine with that. So we got several very good bets. Let's just recap them. So these are the bets that I'm personally going to be making this week. Again, for Harris English, I forgot one more. The easy one to me, Sam Burns. And so it really just depends on, again, what your guys' strategy is. I'm not going to not tell you to be on Scotty. Obviously, if you're on Scotty, your betting strategy changes a little bit. But then Bryson, just, you know, again, class of the field. And then we're kind of betting on two golfers that are notorious for not winning. But again, this event has kind of been an event where those players have won. So it's okay. I don't mind them. Again, I think they would fall into a victory. But then Sam Burns, I do really like. Harris English and Taylor Pendrith, just very good stat fits. And I like the numbers that we're getting. I am chasing the long shot nature of those numbers there as well. But I kind of just fully expect it to be Scotty or Bryson. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get into some head-to-head bets as well. I want to start off with some plus EV bets that we have. And so we're just looking at DraftKings and BetMGM, some of the more popular bets available. And we are sorting by sportsbook edge. So this is where the sportsbook is giving us a bet that does not align with other odds that are out there. And so although Jon Rahm probably not going to beat Scotty, right? The line that DraftKings is given right now is wrong in that consideration, where they're overvaluing it a little bit too much per other sportsbooks. So it's about off by 2.8% there. Okay, so if you want to bet on that, you can, plus 235. Not terrible. Not a bet that I want to get to. An interesting one, and probably not a bet that I'm going to be making either, although the data kind of tells us to, is Ludwig Aubert to beat Xander Schauffele. This is plus 100. Okay, so again, DraftKings is off by about 2.27%, sorry. Not a terrible bet, but this is not a bet where I personally feel like I need to go out of my way to target as well. The reason being, I do think Xander's going to play well. Now, this is the first week in a while where I think Aubert is properly valued in the industry, both for DFS, for betting purposes as well. He's been a little bit propped up, like too much. His results had mostly been random. Okay, so it was nice to see him play well last week so that we could have some confidence in him. But I don't know, like, Xander is the better player. I don't think anyone would deny that. That's tough, right? I don't think I want to bet against Xander, but I would agree that the odds that are there are wrong. Okay. Now, from there, this is an interesting one as well. I actually don't mind this one. Jon Rahm to beat Rory. I actually think this one's solid. Okay, so still, though, not a bet that I feel like we need to go out of our way to target. The plus EV bets that we're getting are not necessarily bets that I love. So let's go ahead and talk about some bets that I do like. So Matt Fitzpatrick, I don't love that either. So interesting. So all the ones that I actually don't love a lot of these that are popping up. Here we go. This is one that I'm actually fine with. So Robert McIntyre beating Tony Finau plus 100. I think that's fine. I do think this is much more of a toss-up, and so at plus 100, I would be fine getting to that bet. We have to go down the list a decent amount for that. That's interesting. Victor Hovland to beat Jordan Spieth at minus 105. That's another bet that I think I would be fine with. Again, Hovland's been playing better recently. This one with Tommy Fleetwood and Joaquin Niemann. Again, this should be, it's pretty close to it, but this one should be much more of a 50-50 split, probably favoring Tommy Fleetwood slightly. And so I don't mind that one there as well. I think I'd be fine getting to those three. And so that'd be the route that I would want to go. Those would be my favorite head-to-head bets for the tournament. And actually, guys, it's a little bit too early to give you guys some 3-ball bets. Apologies for that. Obviously, I can't control that. Hopefully, we'll have those out soon. Typically, it is later in the day on Tuesday evening when we typically get the full board for those. So be on the lookout for that. Obviously, I went through a lot in this video talking about my favorite outright bets and everything. If you guys would like access, though, to all the tools that you saw in this video, make sure to head on over to 9to5sports.com. Get access to all the tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Including that is all the fantasy golf tools, as well as all the PrizePicks and Underdog prop tools as well. If you guys don't want to sign up, that's fine. Just make sure to leave a like to this video. Show me you appreciate it. That does help out the channel a bunch. Subscribe to the channel if you guys have not done so before. And I do just want to touch on one other thing here as well. I did add in a new 9to5 custom model tool to the website. Okay, this is available for 9to5 members only. It eventually will replace the old custom model, but with it being a big event, I didn't want to take that away from people this week until I've been able to put out a how-to tutorial video for the new custom model. This is something I'll be working on, and I do hope to also add in some other features as well. I kind of hope to update all the other tools like this one as well. So you can add in like data like this. I think it's a fun data set to look at. And this is designed for first round leader betting, showdown picks and everything like that. Oh, we can actually do some first round leader bets. We'll do that in just a second. But what I want to do is I want to make this like the bet. I want to make all the other data sheets, maybe not the cheat sheet, but all the other sheets like the betting sheet, showdown sheet, ownership leverage sheet work like this one as well. So I'll probably be working on that over the next month or so to include updates like this. So yes, we'll get into some first round leader bets real quick before we end the video. And I'm not sure I necessarily see like an AM PM advantage just yet. And so with that, I think we can just go pretty much straight off the board. Now, whether or not you want to bet on Rory, again, do you think his form's there or not? That's really up to you to kind of establish that. And if you don't, you could get to Shane Lowry then. So typically speaking, we're just betting on the top 7%. So basically the top 7 to have the first round lead. And so with that, we'd be looking at Shane Lowry 50-1, Corey Connors 60-1. If we want to pass up on Rory, we can 45-1 for Patrick Cantlay. Colin Morikawa 35-1. I'm okay with that. Tommy Fleetwood probably the best approach betting wise to go with him is to have the first round lead 45-1. Xander to show up for one round, that wouldn't be terrible. Again, it's can he do it for the full tournament? That's what we have yet to see. 33-1 for him. I don't mind that. And then Scotty at 12-1. Really not terrible there. Then it is worth calling out. You can even get Bryson at 20-1. Again, we don't have live golfers in that data. I think it'd be fine with that for me personally. Maybe Neiman you can get to there as well. Let's actually just take a quick peek at some of those other golfers that I do like. Harris English and then Pendrith as well. Let's just take a quick peek at those two as well. Not as good of odds for them. 70-1 and 90-1 for Pendrith. I actually wonder, could you do not wire to wire? Could you do a first round lead and win bet for them? That'd be maybe something to think about. But I do think I probably do still want to be targeting more AM only, just because I do think the course will play softer in the morning. And then throughout the day, it'll dry up and just become a little bit more difficult. It might not be anything. It might just be a quarter stroke on average, but that could end up being the difference, right? Sam Burns, 66-1 on BetMGM does feel like a pretty darn good bet. Has the 14th ranked player to have the first round lead in the 905 data. The first round leader odds are 20-1, so a slight edge there as well. All right, that's going to do it for this video. A long one for you. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I think personally I had a lot of fun covering it, so hopefully you guys had a lot of fun listening to it as well. Make sure to leave a like in the video. That does help out a lot. Again, comment anything you guys want. Okay, that does help out the channel a bunch. Thank you for watching. Again, if you want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, make sure to head on over to 905sports.com. Get access to all those tools for a low monthly cost of $10 a month. Thank you for watching. Good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.